All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming at you with another video. I wasn't going to do another video this Friday, but I seen that if I didn't show you guys this, it would be a disservice to the subscribers and the people that follow this channel. Now, what I'm going to show you, listen to it carefully, because everybody really wants to know why the left demonizes Trump so much, why they are so fearful of Donald Trump. I'm finna show you the reasons why. Pay close attention to what's about to be said. This is for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for education, commentary, and under the First Amendment. And this was brought on here by Melanie King. Shout out to Melanie King. Check out this video and pay real close attention to what they're about to say.
And they put a stake in his heart, but they're afraid that that stake they look at Trump as a vampire, and they put a stake in his heart, but they're afraid that that stake could come out any time, that he's undying, and they're afraid of him. They are terrified of him. You know why they're terrified of him? Because they think he's smarter this time, and he has just cause to really get angry because of what they did to him. They can write all of the Atlantic Monthly, and they can write all the New Yorker clever, glib little essays about Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, or they can write all their little Molly Ball Time essays, how clever and brilliant they were with their cabals and their conspiracies to get rid of him. But deep down inside, they know that if the right ever did that to Barack Obama or Joe Biden, they could have really made something out of the fact that Barack Obama had a hot mic expose where he told the president of Russia, you tell Vladimir that I will be flexible on missile defense. That's the security of the United States of America. If he gives me space in my last election, and Putin did do that, that's an impeachable offense if a phone call to Ukraine is. So they understand that the right could have done that to them. And they understand now the right probably will do that to them for their own survival. And they are scared. They're saying if a MAGA candidate wins and they win the House and the Senate, we're cooked, because they're going to get special prosecutors and they're going to go after the Biden family like they've never gone after anybody. And they're going to find stuff because we know Joe is crooked. And then they're going to go after Merrick Garland, and they're going to go after Mayorkas.
I'm going to stop right there. You hear how he said that Barack Obama got caught with a hot mic making a deal with Russia as it related to not doing anything or pressing him during his last years as president. Now, you remember Hunter's ties over there with Ukraine. They want the American citizens and the public to fear Trump and to fear the conservatives on the right, because they know that those conservatives have evidence against them that the country will be shocked at. You know what I mean? Who wants to be impeached for treason? So they keep using the term Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. But pay close attention. Who's changing the Constitution? Who's undermining the amendments, the First Amendment, censorship, the Fourth Amendment of spying on the citizens? Who's changing the very Constitution that held this country together? While they demonize Trump and tell you he's going to destroy democracy. Listen closely to what's being said, for real.
And they're not going to stop, and that's why they're scared, and they're going to do everybody thinks that the danger passed, they got what they wanted. No. You're never going to see anything like what they're going to do in 2024. All of this could have been reconciled. All they had to do was say Donald Trump should not be president, if that's what they believe, and we're not going to do any lawfare. We're not going to try to change the voting laws. We're not going to pack the court. We're not going to let in 2 states. We're not going to try to abolish the Senate filibuster. We're not going to try to change voting ID laws. We're just going to play under the rules that we have. We don't need $419 million by Mark Zuckerberg infused. We don't need Sam Bankman-Fried, the crook, giving us $100 million. We're not going to go under the radar with George. So we're just going to show you, the American people, how we think Donald Trump should not be president. And we'll have a fair.
Hey guys, it's your girl Melanie, and I am back with another Victor Davis Hanson video. So I thought this was interesting. He did this in 2023, about 6 months ago. This video came out. So it's, it's like the end of 2023, but it's talking about what's going to happen in 2024. And we've already seen a lot of these things play out with all of the prosecutions that they've brought up against Trump, and how they've really tried to demonize him in the public, and he's a threat for democracy, and they keep using the same talking points that we should be scared, Americans should be scared. But I think the only ones that are really scared, if I'm honest, are the actual Democrats. They are, meaning the leadership, because what they're doing to him, they're afraid now that it's going to come back on them, because they really believe that there was no possible way that Donald Trump would survive all of the things that they threw at him, all of the things that have happened, what happened through the what happened in the election last time in 2020. They really thought that they could just all of these prosecutions and all these things were to put the final nail in his coffin, and no one thought that Trump would survive, even the Republican Party. As I've told you guys, I'm independent. I like to be a free thinker. I'm not owned by any party. So I just find it interesting to hear these types of things and to see them play out and what is going on. But it's all backfired. Like, the average American is not scared of the threat of democracy, and we're not scared of, it doesn't turn people away because he's been prosecuted. If anything, it's helped him, and a lot of Democrats have said that. It's just they can't believe that their plan has backfired against them. And it's quite shocking to see, it's not shocking to see it, in a way it is, but it's shocking, I would say, to see how much they have failed, because you would think on a logical level that all of these things that they've levied against Trump, all of these things that have been brought forth, that it would destroy his public.
I'm going to interject on Melanie for a minute. When you see Pelosi and the women of The View, when you see how emotional and terrified and scared they are of 4 years of Donald Trump, after we already survived 4 years of Donald Trump during a pandemic, they want to terrify the citizens and the public and demonize him and all this lawfare, because they know he's coming after that deep state. He knows what they have been a part of with Epstein. You know what I mean? He knows about the trafficking. He knows where the so-called proverbial bodies are buried. And they know that the conservatives around him are holding these things because they know the public is not really ready to hear how these Democrats have allegedly betrayed the country and the interests of American citizens. Because you think just opening the border to all these immigrants and siding with globalists is the main thing. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's continue.
Image, but I just don't think it's possible to do that with him. I think people care more about this country and what's happening to it and how it affects them. They're not focused on an individual man and the wrongdoings that are perceived that he's doing. The American people want work done in Washington. They want they want the economy better. They want inflation. They don't want the rise in inflation. They don't want, they want to be able to afford groceries and gas and their rent, their mortgage. People are worried about the day-to-day activities, what's going on with their family. Of course, we're concerned about the broader narrative of what's happening in the United States. But this kind of this down in the mud, tussling that they're doing with Trump, it just at this point seems petty, I think, to a lot of people. And so it just doesn't affect us on our day-to-day basis. So, and I think they're surprised that Americans are able to separate the two, that okay, that's what they're doing to him, but I still am going to vote for him, which we see in the polls. He's winning in most of the swing states. And I mean, by all by all measures, Biden is failing completely on every level. His disapproval rating is just a mess. But people are able to separate those things from what they think is best for the country. And it goes against what the Democratic and far left narrative is. And it's actually great seeing them collapse. But let's continue with this.
And they can't do that. They don't trust themselves. They think, you know what? Anybody in his right mind would close that border right now. Close the border. Anybody in his right mind would recall all of those DAs that have destroyed these major cities. Anybody in his right mind would not beg the Saudis or the Venezuelans or the Russians or the Iranians to pump oil on the eve of a midterm or drain their strategic petroleum when you have so much natural gas and oil. Nobody in their right mind would do that. And nobody in their right mind would ever just pull out of Afghanistan without warning, just so Joe Biden can say that on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 or the original October invasion of Afghanistan, I'm the president that got us out. Nobody would do that. And nobody would print $6 trillion when there's a pent-up demand post-COVID lockdown and there's a supply chain disruption, and throw that money without any audit or examination of who got it and why and how it was spent, but to inflate the economy and ruin it. Nobody would do that. And so they know that. And they know that they can't take that record to the American people. They have a deductive mind because they're ideologue. So they start with a premise that we're for social justice and for equity of result. And so we're morally superior and smarter than anybody else. And therefore we're entitled to do things that other people don't do. And so if under the cover of COVID and frightening people about COVID, we can change all the voting laws so that 30% instead of voting absentee and early voting shall become 70% in most states with very little audit of the level necessary to authenticate most ballots. They just do all this stuff because they start with the deductive principle. We are better. This is the vision, and therefore the following must happen. And if things don't fit the narrative, then they go after the person. They censor it. That's how they work. And if you keep that in mind, then everybody makes sense. And what I'm saying is they go on from one lie to the next. So everybody now knows that Donald Trump, we just discussed it, was impeached for things that Joe Biden got away with. Okay, everybody knows the laptop was authentic. Everybody knows that now. Everybody knows that it would have made a big difference on that debate when Donald Trump said it was, and Joe Biden said, no, 51 authorities. Everybody knew that Deschenko and Charles, or whatever his name, Dolan, and Christopher Steele were frauds, and especially Glenn Simpson, and that Hillary Clinton took over an old Never-Trumper file, inflated it with $1 million, got the FBI on it to hire Christopher Steele as a consultant informant, hid her so-called legal expenses, and she was fined and cited for that violation through Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, DNC, and that file was fraudulent. It was made up. I said that from the first time I saw it. Everything in it was false, and yet we wasted 22 months and $40 million to know it was obvious. No apology. In fact, not only no apologies, they got Pulitzer Prize winners, some of the reporters. Every time they give these monstrous lies, there's no apologies. And why should they? Because in their way, they're just narratives. They're postmodern, Foucauldian, Lacan, Derrida narratives. They were useful. So that's what they look back. Well, they were useful at the time because when we went through the Mueller investigation, when we went through the laptop, we crippled Donald Trump, and therefore we were able to stop him. We had Anonymous. He was burrowed deep into the Homeland Security. He was a minor official, but we said he was one of the major operatives in the Trump administration. We lied. And then we printed his op-ed because it did what it was supposed to do. It weakened this right-wing agenda, so they think. And we got Admiral McRaven, and he came in and wrote an op-ed and said Trump should leave, the sooner the better. And then we got all of the 4 stars, McCaffrey, McChrystal, all of them, to say that Trump was Hitler, that he was Mussolini, that he was a liar, that he was dangerous. We got Mark Milley to call the Chinese. We did all of this. And yes, we do not want this to be done to us. If right now a retired 4-star general says that Joe Biden is senile or he's dangerous, or the Afghanistan is a disaster and he should be removed sooner or later, or his weaponization of the DOJ or the FBI is Mussolini-like, or his hounding of individual people at school boards, or the way he conducted the Mar-a-Lago raid is remnant of it's Nazi-like. And I'm just quoting from what they've said. You know what's going to happen to those people?
More loyalty points for me.
You're going to get Merrick Garland to call up the Pentagon, and they're all going to be slapped with a Code 88 Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're going to be court-martialed for disparaging the commander-in-chief. Trust me, they would in 2 seconds, and that's not going to happen. First, they're not going to say anything because they're not equally going to apply their standards of correct behavior on the part of the, and second all, they're going to say something with Donald Trump because they know that the media and the Pentagon are not going to do anything to them. Now, oh man, they would destroy them if they ever criticize the commander-in-chief. They would go after him like you.
Bless us. What, this man needs to be in a home. Like, what? I'm sorry. That just threw me off right there. But one thing I want to say when they're talking about comparing him with Hitler and Mussolini, there is actually Robert De Niro was recently on The View, and this is literally what he's saying. They keep trying to scare us. It's going to be, it's going to be like I don't know. He said it, but I'm not going to say it. The Nazi regime. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And Americans just don't care. We're not listening to this. We know they're just using scare tactics to get us to vote for them. They're not offering anything. The only thing that the left wants to, to an independent like me, the only thing they seem to be giving out is scare tactics and fear mongering and all of these things that I should be afraid of, as though they're just these beacons of truth and light and virtue and doing everything right. The only thing they seem to do, again, is fear mongering and identity politics and shaming people into voting for them and not seeing with our own eyes what we're seeing. We're not feeling and experiencing this economy, not seeing what's happening with our children, what's happening in the schools, what's happening on so many levels. It's like we're just supposed to be afraid of Trump. Like, people just aren't afraid of Trump. You have to be very low IQ to just be so terrified he's going to do all this bad stuff to us, when we are worse off now than we were when we were under Trump in the pandemic. That's insane to me. But they promised us all these things and nothing happened. And then now that they can't produce results, again, they're left with identity politics, and people are going to vote because it's, I as black and I as a woman and I as, LGBTQ plus, all of these things that okay, vote because we support you. And the reality is they don't support any of us. Okay, they just use those as brownie points to get voted in. It's just like hoping that we're dumb enough that people who are of color or women, we're just so dumb that we're just gonna, woman, black, of color, then okay, we're gonna vote for them. They offer absolutely nothing, while at the same time destroying the country and destroying destroying Americans and destroying jobs. Like, and the best they offer is this: Joe Biden falling down, barely can speak, barely can put a coherent sentence together. And this is not being against someone who's of a certain age. This is the fact this man is supposed to be the commander in chief and running the country. And he can't hold himself together. And this is the thing. Again, they're trying to scare us because they are actually scared. Because they decided to use lawfare against Trump, a president, for the first time in history. And so now
I'm gonna interject right there. I discussed this before in the video. Even when it came to Netanyahu, when they was trying to slow him down in Gaza, and they said the world court was coming for him, and he said, well, if they come for me, they got to come for Obama. They got to come for y'all, because he knows things that they are guilty of. You know what I mean? So you looking at these politicians who are trying to scare you because you trust them so much, even in the face of their lawfare, they're transgendering your children. The only thing they offer you is abortion. They got a segregationist president, and they keep using the media to distract you, while in all actuality, They terrified of being confronted with the very things they've done to undermine this country and the citizens. You got to like and share this video. YouTube won't push it so that people can actually see and study what Melanie King is showing you and what Hansen, Victor David Hansen, is discovering. Look into Victor David Hansen. Look into the people that they discredit and censor.
Are afraid that they're going to be exposed when he gets voted in, because what it looks like right now is that Trump will be winning the 2024 election. And I don't know anybody who's personally scared unless they just aren't involved with the facts on the ground. They're just going with the mainstream media narrative and that what the average American does and doesn't really dig into the facts. But let's continue.
Wouldn't believe, and they know that. And so what we're talking about, I guess, to sum up and end this, they understand deterrence. They are saying to the American people, we are SOBs. We're capable of everything and anything. Now, which side do you want to be on? Because if you're on our side, you can do what Hunter Biden is. There's no consequences. If you want to say that the voting machines are crooked like Jill Stein, go ahead. She did in 2016. If you want to be Barbara Boxer and 32 Democrats and say, you know what, we're not going to certify the Ohio count and hold up the whole election. We're going to try to do that. Don't worry. They did it in 2004. If you're Al Gore and the registrar and the attorney general says, well, the votes have been counted and they have been certified in Florida. Oh, no, we're going to sue. We're going to sue and hold up the entire election for a month. And so you can do all of that as long as you're on our side. But if you don't do that and you want to go on the other side, then you're going to be in big trouble. And that's the message that they're trying to say. That's what we're really getting down to. Join the winning side. It's sort of like in the Soviet Union. If you're part of the nomenclatura and you join the party, you're exempt. If you're not, well, you're on your own. People say to me, well, you're an academic and you spent your whole life. How did you deal with those 94% of all academics are left wing? And I'm just using that percentage because that's a percentage of those who give money to political campaigns. 94% go to left wing or Democratic causes. And then they said, why are they so left wing? Is it they have tenure? They're exempt from the worrying about losing their job. They have guaranteed step increases. They have a 9-month work year. Is it because they teach their 1 or 2 classes a semester? What is it that makes them? Are they idealistic because they deal with words? Or I said, no. They understand if you want to get tenure and you want to be promoted and you want to be liked, you just parrot the majority cause. If it paid better, they'd be fascist.
Guys, well, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video. Again, as a lot of you guys are shocked, this is my first time hearing.
Shout out to Melanie King. I'm going to end it on this note. You people have a tendency to trust these Democrats and what they say so much that you ignore lawfare. And you say, well, how can you call it lawfare? I'm going to ask you guys a simple question that you probably just overlooked, or if anybody ever asked you. How many times have you seen a lawyer get on a stand and testify against their client in any type of proceeding? Your lawyer has a confidentiality obligation to withhold your secrets in any communications, no matter what the circumstances, unless you are about to commit a serious crime. You willingly accept Cohen going in there testifying against Trump on all these bogus charges. You will accept almost anything. Have you ever questioned that was his lawyer? How is his lawyer being used as the star witness against him? That goes against jurisprudence. It goes against everything in American law. And you eating it up. I'm going to end on this note. Pay attention to what's really going on. Look at this video, like, share, and subscribe, and push this video so people can see it, dissect it, and have a different outlook on what's going on. Signing to you out of Detroit. Salute to all patriots. Keep your head on the swivel. Peace.